agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's 7 minutes after 8. Thank you very much for keeping it locked. The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation, setting the agenda for the nation. From the Standard Group Center in Nairobi all the way to the world. Ndu, people want to win 5,000 shillings.
Okay.
And they need to know how.
Okay.
All right.
I've got a way.
Okay.
All right.
Go.
If you have a Britam fund account, top it up. If you don't, get on to ke.britam.com and register an account. What does this account help you do? Essentially, you grow your money. If you're going to grow it in the short to medium term, you're going to open a money market fund account. All right? And then you will grow your money by 13.5%. If you get into the smart yield account, you can also grow your money there by 14% per year, per annum, essentially, that's what it is. So that's how you grow your money. But you're interested in how you can win 5,000 shillings today? Go ahead. Fund your account with 1,000 shillings, take a screenshot of that, and send it to our DMs, Spice FM KE. You could win 5,000 shillings today. Because you did just that. Simple. Easy peasy.
ke.britam.com. Then you'll find a tab there written Save and Invest. Click on that tab. It opens a page. Now select Britam Money Market or look for the Britam Smart Yield. And then click on Start Investing. It opens a new page. Now fill in the details there. How much do you want to invest? How often do you want to be topping up your account? What's the purpose? What do you think? What's your project? How long do you want to invest for? Just fill up that account, and then it'll ask you for the promo code, right? Spice FM. It is that symbol. 1,000 shillings is what you need to start with. You can put 2,000, 3,000, as long as it's in the multiples of 1,000, or it's more than 1,000. You can put 1,001. It's fine. 1,005 is fine. Just as long as you've put 1,000 plus something else. Send that to our DM on X or on Facebook. At the end of this show, we are going to award one person with 5,000 shillings, courtesy of the Britam Asset Managers. Hiya. Our next guest is in the studio, and we're lucky. In fact, I'd told our producer, Openje, Ebu just ask security whether they can see a Pro Box down there.
Subaru.
Yours is Pro Box. Madharau gani?
You mean there's a vehicle called a Pro Box Subaru?
People others are picked up in Subarus. They put our guy, Macharia Gaitho, in a Pro Box.
By the way, they even have Volkswagens these days.
Madharau, but Pro
Box.
Macharia, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
I'm good. I'm okay.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday morning, it wasn't a pleasant morning for many. And those who saw the messages immediately and those who got calls immediately and were so he said, Macharia has been abducted. We're like, what do you mean? And then we saw the clips that were recorded by your son. We're like, really? Like, really? Does that not look like a police station? Yeah. Okay. But it's good to see you.
I'm happy to be here.
Why? City?
Yes.
We'll give Macharia Gaitho, veteran journalist, the day's proverb.
All right, veteran journalist. Here comes the proverb. Where there is peace, a billock can be used to shave your beard or cut your hair. Billock is a sickle.
Okay.
Where there is peace,
a sickle can be used to shave your beard or cut your hair.
What's your interpretation of the proverb?
These proverbs, by the way, for this week come from the Republic of Burundi. We're looking at island nations of Africa. Now we're looking at...
okay. Sorry, I was somewhere else.
It's all right. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Okay. Now we're looking at landlocked countries in Africa. And we started with the B, Burundi. Next week, I'll be going to Botswana. Yes, like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Where there is peace,
Yes.
you call it a what? Bullock?
Billock.
Billock can be used to cut your hair or shave your beard. Well, first of all, it comes from Burundi, a country which has not known peace for a long time. And I can tell you that if I was in Bujumbura or anywhere near there, I would not allow any offensive weapon near my head or my throat. As simple as that. I think where there is peace, then you don't have to fear you don't have to be in fear. You don't have to be in fear. Yeah.
Everything is not a weapon.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yes, it's what people use as weapons are actually tools. And the purpose for which they were intended was not to cut off people's necks or to sever their limbs. They were meant for other purposes. But where there is no peace, then the usage changes. Yes.
It's the importance of peace. Hey, Macharia, a lot is happening in this country.
Well, plenty,
Right?
plenty.
The last time you were here, we were talking about this protest, the Gen Z movement, what it was bringing, and your advice to the president saying, you know what, these are opportunities that are presenting themselves. And then you have also even gone through it yourself. Would you still have the same advice to the government?
Like I said last time, this government, despite all despite what they try to show as a listening, caring, responsive government, they're still stuck in a very old mindset. Yes, you see 2 steps back forward in terms of withdrawing the finance bill, sacking the cabinet. But then it is followed by 3 steps backwards. Not even standing still. We're actually moving backwards. I am seeing Ruto now on the campaign trail. Yesterday he was, I think, in Taveta or thereabouts, promising bridges and superhighways and everything else. The other day he was in Kilifi promising this and that. The other day he was in Mombasa promising this and that. That he was in Meru promising to extend the superhighway. I don't know up to build. We've gone into campaign mode on those same old promises, which discredited him in the first place, and earned him the tag of a liar. And I don't know whether he doesn't see it. That this should be the time for delivery, not the time for promises. And there are some very simple things that he has to deliver on. The issues which made Gen Z rise up in revolt. Instead of addressing them, he is looking at a political fix, a very short-term political fix, only of benefit to the political classes, not to the suffering peoples. He doesn't get it. He
But
doesn't
why?
get it.
Is it possible that he gets it, but he has a different solution to it?
That's why I say he doesn't get it.
When you get it, how exactly do you manifest getting it? When someone says, I've understood, which is essentially what we are colloquializing and saying getting it, how do you manifest it?
You can choose. You understand and you react. You respond positively. Or
I agree.
You understand. And
But
you react
there's
differently.
a response that universally will be considered as you having, you will have manifested an understanding, a clear understanding. Because an understanding also encompasses the ramifications. You know that this decision takes you along this path, and that path has consequences at the end of it. That's what getting it is all about.
Or you could understand and see, now that I actually understand what the problem is, if I were to act on this problem, it'll lead me down a different path.
Yes.
If I were to act, this way, it buys me more time.
Okay.
It provides me some leeway, something that I can deal with.
All right.
I know how to deal with this problem. I don't know how to deal with this problem.
Can I juxtapose it a little bit? Remember, one of the things that this government did when they were campaigning was to complain about how the 5 years where there was a handshake and blame literally everything that they believed went wrong and which they were going to fix happened during that period when there was a handshake. So what are they saying? That the handshake was an enabler. But we are seeing it. There's a handshake, and then what do we see next?
That's the thing, CT. He saw handshake and he saw survival. There was a handshake, and with that handshake, there was survival.
Right, and then
So he's looking for survival.
If a handshake in 2018 was bad, why is a handshake today good?
good.
It wasn't bad then. It was just bad to those who are not in the handshake. Those who shook hands didn't have a problem with it. They survived. If you're looking for survival, look for where. Have you seen a working formula for survival? Yes. When? In 2018. What happened? There was political survival.
Eric, let me
Are
ask
you
you.
looking for political survival today? Yes. What has been tried and tested? Clinical trials.
You see, the challenges were different then.
Yes.
In 2018, the threat President Uhuru Kenyatta faced was coming from his deputy president. So he had to be neutralized by bringing in Raila. The threat President William Ruto faces today is from the people. Will Raila neutralize the people? Yes, he'll satisfy his base probably, but the people who were out in the streets were not his base. He has no power over the Gen Zs, and he has no power over all the other people who are not necessarily Gen Zs, but broadly supported that revolt. And these are people of all age groups, all social classes, all ethnicities and regions. They were not limited to somebody's political caucus. Can he contain that? Can Raila contain that? I don't think so.
Is it possible that they've calculated and seen that those are the minority and that their bases still form the majority?
Actually, that thinking makes sense because it is logical. But who foresaw that the Gen Z were going to go onto the street? People were busy thinking, the same thing you're saying, planning, feeling, this is how we've got this thing covered, okay? We've got it. Then one day they didn't get it. And then they've continued not to get it. Could it be that this is one of those moments where when you're tracing back and saying, you know, there was a politician in this country called Raila, that man's popularity was tremendous. And then he started waning. What happened? Could you trace it to such a moment where, yes, you have a lot of support, and somehow the support now, the base starts questioning also and saying, actually, guys, let's give this thing a second look. Because this movement is causing Kenyans to give this whole thing we call Kenya, and this arrangement, we have a second look. We're asking, are we really going to continue living this way? And that's why this handshake is being questioned in ways that had never been questioned before. And you're talking of nominations, they are being looked at. They are being examined with the tooth comb. They are being examined in ways they've never been examined before. It's a very different dispensation.
But is this progress, Macharia? Is this real progress that we can actually look at it and say, measured, that the things that people are asking for, because this was what set it was, you know, the revolt, the revolution, the protest. But is this progress to get from point A to point B, the things that we see happening currently? Is it really?
I would say, in terms of the people and their consciousness, there is a great deal of progress. For the first time, we have seen that people can rise up without having to be controlled by politicians or mobilized by politicians. People can just say enough is enough, irrespective of their party or ethnic affiliations, or all our normal fault lines. People can all come together and say enough is enough, and shake the government. That is a great deal of progress, and there is no going back. But when it comes to the government response, there is no progress. They are doubling down, trying to use the tactics of 1990. The Moi-era tactics, terrorize the people, abductions, special branch, DCI running some secret outfits, political promises of we'll build bridges here, footpaths there, everything else. You know, the same old tired tactics. And then, of course, look for something to blame. And remember that language?
Mm-hmm.
Enemies of development, agents of foreign masters.
Mm-hmm.
Money has been poured.
Money has been poured. And of course, look for, it is either foreigners or look for some politicians to blame.
Yeah.
Even if there is no evidence. Today, the DCI and the NIS are spending all their time trying to look for evidence so they can pin the revolt on some
Somebody.
entity they cannot find. It's crazy.
How long do you think this will run for? Because, okay, so we've seen the response by the government, we've seen the response by the president and the political class just coalescing and saying, all right, it's broad-based, it's for the sake of national peace and development. And from this past weekend, and what the president has basically come out to say is, I am forming a government so that we can all, now be more included. I have heard what the people are saying, they want more inclusion. And you can see now we are moving forward. And like you said, he went back into his status quo. We are back to status quo ante, where everything is about, promises, development. We shall do this. You fisher folk, I am 800 million shillings so that we can move into this. Liwatoni, you guys are complaining about a bridge. Okay, actually, we are doing another better bridge. What are you talking about? You are sugarcane farmers. We are dealing with you sugarcane farmers. You cotton farmers. Cotton, we are sorting you out. There's no power here. We're sorting out power. There's a bridge that's collapsed. We are sorting out that bridge. How long do you think this will run before?
First of all, let's get rid of one lie. This is not a broad-based government. Simply bringing in surrogates of one man does not make it broad-based. It is simply bringing him into the coalition, into the Kenya Kwanza coalition. That does not make it broad-based. And if you're looking at something which really incorporates everybody, it must go beyond simply satisfying a few politicians. It actually has to be some consultative process which goes outside the outside the normal political alliances and the way we build political alliances. We would have thought they would look at competence. We would have thought they would look at people who are not tainted with ethical questions, or people who are not simply appendages of some old political formation. Nothing has changed. It is a game of musical chairs. You sack some non-performing anonymous cabinet secretaries.
Anonymous.
and replace them with like for like. But the fellows who are the source of your problems, the ones who are the movers and shakers in the cabinet, the wheeler dealers, the ones who are responsible for the mess, your so-called homeboys, they remain in place. There'll be a bit of musical chairs, move somebody from this ministry to this ministry, but they are still in place. Some of those people are the problem. And they are Ruto's problem. Because they're not going to be the ones standing for president in 2017, in 2027. It is him. He will not say, oh no, it was Murkomen who did this, or it was so-and-so who did this. It is him to take the flag. So that's what I'm saying, he doesn't get it. But this thing will not end. Yes, there may be a lull. People will have to get back and re-strategize. But have the concerns of Wananchi being addressed? No. Already we are seeing in Parliament now they have a supermajority. I'm calling it the Kenya Kwanza ODM coalition. Already they are moving to override the president's veto on the finance bill. By going clause by clause, they've rejected his removal of the budget for the First Lady and the spouse of the Deputy President. What else will they reinstate? Is that a participatory process? Is that the national conversation we're talking about?
And when they removed it, what budget line suffered? Health?
Initially, health, education,
Yes.
JS teachers.
Actually, what they did is to try and punish the people. Their perks remain. The gluttony in government remains. But they're hitting at the services which most impact on the people. Health, education, social welfare.
Again, why? Why, Macharia? You have written about politicians, you've sat down with politicians, you've analyzed politics. Why? Why would these leaders do that? When clearly this time, it wasn't just like you've said, it was a movement by the people, and the people were expressing something very clearly. Why would those in power, knowing that they are political sharks, that they depend on survival, and so they try to appear to be listening to the people, why would they actually so blatantly show that they are not listening? Why?
Like I said, because they don't get it.
Why?
Secondly, they are still not believing. They are still not believing that what happened, happened. They think it was just some...
Children playing around, making
Passing
noise,
phase.
Disturbing people. Yes.
Yes. They are not believing that it actually happened and that it shook this country to the core. And they'll want to sell all kinds of silly narratives. That it is just some rich little brats funded by who and so. They don't get it. And I wish they could at least even do a poll, their own, leave alone the ones done independently, and find out what do Kenyans actually think. Beyond Gen Z.
What do the other Kenyans across the country think?
What I know, even without a poll, is that when that Gen Z revolt came out, they had very broad support across population groups, irrespective of our normal fall lines. That did not need a poll for me to see, but it can be confirmed by a scientific poll. And it is not something you can ignore and move on at business as usual. Things have changed. And they have to realize that.
Eric, take for instance the pictures that we saw and the narratives that we heard on that first day, and even on the second day. These were very peaceful days. They were passing through town. Shops, they did not close. People who owned shops, people who were giving water,
Yep.
Yeah.
okay? They were doing their thing. Nothing stopped working in town. Now, the question I would ask is, why then would they have changed when the following week came about? Why, these same people, why would they have changed now? That is something that would scare anybody. That giving of water tells you people were saying, well done. I remember being caught up on the expressway. I saw people, not a person, who had pickups. They had water, lots of it, walking to give. Meaning they came prepared knowing there will be these protesters and there is water and they're giving. This has never happened. And I'm certain that the intelligence agency in this country gave the leaders the correct information. They told them this is what is happening.
This is popular.
This thing is extremely popular.
So they get it.
No, they're in denial. They think they'll just go here and propose to build a bridge here, a market here, a road here, that will solve the issues. It will not.
Let's take a break. 29 minutes to 9. Our guest is veteran journalist Macharia Gaitho. He's here this morning. A lot is changing in the country. It's the changes in the country that we are discussing today. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only...
Nivea Pearl and Beauty Deodorant. The perfect balance of 48-hour protection and care for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. Try our new Pearl and Beauty Black Pearl for smooth and perfumed underarms.
woman with big dreams.
I'll soon have enough money to pay for my tuition.
I proclaim you as Saint Rita, the patron of all nurses.
A man with family secrets.
Dad, how'd you end up to be a corrupt city engineer? And all of our money!
In a person's life, there's always someone who will totally and completely turn your life around. That woman is my wife.
3 hearts burning with passion.
Don't ever leave me. Never be with anyone else. I'd have to kill that person.
3 hearts burning for love.
Doc Salcedo, Peterson Alvarez. Hi, Doc. Nice to meet you.
Waona kama ataweza binti yetu?
Mtoto wa Simba ni Simba. Huyu bwana alipomtaja Hamida kama mrithi wa uongozi wake, basi niaminini, nimehisi zaidi ya mnavyohisi nyinyi. Naomba mnisikilize jameni. Sijui nyinyi, lakini kwangu mimi kura yangu ni kwa Hamida Kombo.
Jabir, tutaonana tena.
Siwezi kupa uhakika wa hilo. Yale uliyofanya ni mambo ya kitoto.
Kumshukuru mtu aliyetusaidia.
Sasa utashukuru watu wangapi? Sawa, niambie wataka nini?
Na kutaka wewe.
Pole. Nishaposa. Lazima ukweli uzungumzwe.
Kweli gani? Labda tueleze kweli kilichotokea baina yako na mzee Gama.
Mimi sijani unavyochukulia. Lakini haya yote nafanya kwa sababu ya mwanangu.
I'm so sorry.
She's a monster! She's a monster! My mother did not deserve that! So please just get out of my life! I can never forgive you for what you and Veron did to me! I truly regret the day that I met you, Oliver! And I regret opening my heart to you, letting you into my life! And I especially regret ever loving you!
Intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversation continues with veteran journalist Macharia Gaitho. Macharia, let me give you, some examples in a build-up to my question. We hosted Kipchumba Murkomen when he was still the Minister for Roads and Transport, just a couple of days before the cabinet was disbanded. And again, we asked him, so in terms of roads, how much has been done? He said, you know what, when we found that the previous administration had promised and started so many road projects. A road started here, road started there, road started there, road started there, that ongoing road projects were worth 700 billion shillings. And we said, so which ones have actually moved to a certain stage that we now need to complete, coming to around 160-something billion shillings. How much budget was allocated to the roads ministry in the last financial year? Some 58 or so billion shillings. How much money actually ended up in the roads ministry to finish those projects? 28 billion shillings. Why? Shortage of cash. So all the promises that had been made, road here, road there, road the other, could not be completed because there was no money to actually complete. The president himself has said that we are having some serious financial problems trying to balance with all the debt that we have to pay and the little money that we can manage to raise locally and even borrow in the market. Yet it's a same president who's still promising more that requires expenditure. More power projects being promised. More to support fishermen. More to support infrastructure development. Do you think he knows that there's no money to complete these projects?
He is the one who has told us time and time again that there is no money, that he inherited empty coffers. Let us concede that, yes, this administration inherited a mess from the previous one in terms of ongoing development projects for which there was no money, and the government debt. But this administration cannot divorce itself from the previous one. Murkomen, you could say, was a member of the previous government, whether he was just an MP or even if he was not a minister. They are the ones who are voting for those development projects and voting for that budget. Ruto was the deputy president. He was very busy in the last term of that government, going all over the place, opening projects and claiming credit for them. So it is not just an inherited mess. It is a mess they created or helped create and must live with it now. They cannot keep saying we inherited this and that. We know there is no money. We know that somehow funds must be raised to sustain the government, pay our debts, and build a few bridges here and there. But there must be a plan to it. The moment the president is going around promising projects left, right, and center, has he consulted the treasury? Are those things on the development plan? Are they going to start shifting budgets around to cater for this and that project because the president has decreed?
But then mustn't you question the intention behind those things? Because is it really because he has an intention to do them, or is he still trying in another bid to endear himself to people? Because it just sounds like something that you would do. That, all right, I may have been in a place where I was in the doghouse for a while, but then I need to get myself feeling as though I am still the darling of the people. And the one way that he knows to do this very well that we've seen is to make promises to people, and then there will be this crowd loving. I will do this,
that's
that, the
politics
other thing.
As usual.
It's like the girl that you keep trying to woo to keep her interested.
Yeah.
We have no intention of landing this thing.
So it is a lie.
It's a lie.
It is a lie. Politics as usual, of going around promising all kinds of goodies.
Now, to what end? One of the issues that, like you're saying, when the Gen Z came out and those that were supporting them, they were all pointing back at, these are the projects that were promised. These are the promises that were made by this team when they were campaigning and they got into office. This was the expectation. It was unfulfilled promises that was high up there among the issues that the people were not happy with the administration. So why would you come and continue making more promises that are most likely going to be unfulfilled?
But doesn't it keep you wrapped up in this whole euphoria?
Because your mind
is stuck on promises.
Is stuck on the same old way of doing things.
Yeah.
You cannot think differently. For you, it is to take a certain cluster of people in Taita Taveta, bribe them with promises. Then go to Kilifi, bribe them with promises. You've come from Meru, bribe them with not an actual project, a promise. Or open an already existing project. You know that he's very good at that, by the way. Launching and relaunching and commissioning projects which were commissioned 5 years ago. Okay, things like those.
Do you think those people will at one point come and also say no?
Don't you know when you're being lied to?
They do know.
I think people...
But they're clapping.
I think
why at that moment are they clapping?
You know, I've fought some of those clips. But there is some polite clapping. But I don't think it is that enthusiastic as used to happen in the past.
There you go.
It is not. And if he believes it is, he's lying to himself also, not just to the people, even to himself.
Then that makes it worse. Because the moment all those people then come back and they're like, okay, wait a minute. So we are, for example, cotton farmers in Kwale. And there's been this talk, and the president came here and said, you know what, we are trying to promote the local cotton industry, opening a ginnery here. I'm going to open a ginnery here. And then you go, a couple of, no ginneries have been opened. No support, adequate support to the cotton farmers to revive the cotton farming. That just basically just builds up the people of Likoni, you are told. So Liwatoni, which took so many billions of shillings to construct, and now our president comes and says, you know what, that Liwatoni floating bridge, by the way, it was a wrong idea.
That thing works, Bwana.
Apparently, according to the president, the people at the port and the military, the navy, said that thing is causing a 10-hour delay on ships docking at the port of Mombasa. So
that
now
bridge is causing a 10-hour delay.
Yeah, the floating Liwatoni bridge. So now we are going to construct another one. That's what the president said.
Look,
if you don't know where Liwatoni is, you'd believe that story.
For goodness sake, we've just finished June 1st, 2024. There was another June 1st in 2023 where celebrations for Madaraka Day were held where? In Kericho County. And you were told, we will finish. A year rolled round. And then we went to Bungoma in June on Madaraka Day. The same things that were said to the people of Kericho in 2023 were regurgitated to the folks of Bungoma in 2024. By the time the earth goes round the sun, you've made yet another raft of promises. But why'd you do that? Because that momentary euphoria, you remain the darling of the people. There's a high you're on for a while, and then you move on to the next thing. But my thing, Macharia, is that here we are at a point whereby at some point, the rubber will meet the road and folks will know fully well. Now they may doubt, they may not be sure, others are fully convinced, but soon everybody will know for a fact that you're playing on that promise or that short-term euphoria that you get by making the promise to us and we all clap for you. It will run out at some point and people will tell you, we know you're taking us for a fool.
And you can be sure that this time around, there are people tabulating each and every new promise, leave alone the old ones, the pending ones. The ones which have been made this week, they're already somewhere on a spreadsheet. He has promised he'll be in Taveta next month to I don't know what. He'll be back there to do I don't know what.
People who want to go to
people will know
to Europe tomorrow, if they apply for their passport today is what day? Tuesday.
30th.
Next week, Tuesday, you will have your passport, and then I don't know which ministry you rock up to, Mofa.
Not just your passport.
You have your ticket to
you
go
will
where
even
you're
get an air ticket.
Hey, yeah.
Now, if anybody, some of these things I think are quite ridiculous.
You have to laugh because for goodness sake.
There was one of these public holidays where what were people offered? Scholarships.
It was Madaraka Day.
Training.
There was that was last year.
Online training at Nyayo Stadium and people were graduating.
Day. It was the one in December is what?
Jamhuri.
You know, there's an interesting thing about relationships that are created. When you bought onto a promise that was made and you went along with it and probably voted for the person who made the promise, you may not realize it, but there's an allegiance that you have now. With that allegiance comes the element of hope. You're always hoping that some of these promises will come true because on the face of it, they sound good things. I mean, they sound like good things. They're things that could help people. So some people keep clutching at these straws and more realizing they are straws. So again, we are in the habit. When a political leader comes to talk to you, people attend. We are used to it. You know why? Some goodies may come your way. But also significantly, we hear of situations where crowds are brought. It's not as though people willingly go. Now, in a situation like this one of ours, where all these things happen at the same time, it tells you, at least it tells me, that people still respect the presidency. So they'll probably honor you with an audience. But that audience, if you look at it carefully, it is not the audiences we used to see. And we've seen some of these public gatherings and holidays where the crowd has at best been very thin. It's something that we've never witnessed before. So, is it that it was a very cold day? Or is it that people have become disenchanted and more becoming disenchanted so that even attending a meeting is not something that you will take for granted? Because we say people vote with their feet, don't they? Well, the feet have started moving now. And 2027 is a long way off. The question you ask, Ndu, though, I think deserves a little stab. We need to look at it. You know why? The question of why does someone do this? I think we need to bring in one Professor Twili here to explain this thing to us, because he's a psychiatrist and he's the one who understands these things. There must be an explanation for this.
I think better still, some of these people should be asked to consult Professor Atoli. They need help.
No, in all honesty, because you it's something that requires understanding. And I'm not going to play a guessing game here.
Again, I ask, this entire political leadership, yes, Macharia, I've heard you many times, I've asked you, and you've said they don't get it. They are still in denial. But these are people who've risen to the level that they have risen to because they are very good at listening and interpreting what the people are saying. Raila Odinga has gotten where he has gotten to because he has known how to listen. This is the choir, they're singing hymn number 9. Joins in hymn number 9 and sings like he's a soloist and becomes a soloist. Ruto, the same thing. If you look at all of them, Musalia, the same. They've grown up in the system. All these political leaders, even those that are fairly new, have become very good at it. So how is it that all these people, all of them, are actually not getting this tune? They think we're singing hymn number 9 when people are not even singing from that book. How is that?
I think we're dealing with people who think very short term. The benefits, the situation they are in today. They're very good at putting out fires, probably, but not reconstructing. And somehow they think next year will take care of itself. And that is why even with all these brains you have in government, they cannot craft a coherent policy on anything. They cannot craft a coherent narrative on anything. What would be so difficult towards drawing up a budget based on realities rather than a wish list? Every housewife knows that the money available for her monthly groceries is this much. Let us say 20,000 shillings. Monthly shopping, groceries, the works. Will she then come up with a budget of 100,000 shillings and decide the rest will come from somewhere? She doesn't know where, but it will come from somewhere. That is how our budget making process has become. How can we have a 4 trillion shillings budget, or even call it 3.8? Yet the only realistic revenue we are going to get from our taxes and even from borrowing is 2.5 trillion. It doesn't make sense. Why should we set targets for the taxman that are so bloody unrealistic? And there's some things that they don't see. And you wonder whether they have porridge between their ears. They increased the VAT on petrol to raise more revenue. revenue actually went down because consumption went down, because people could no longer afford to drive their cars. And the other day, they increased what did they increase?
The road maintenance levy.
The road maintenance levy.
Yes.
Because they want more revenue. You wonder, even a simple lesson from last year, they can't get it and they're still loading more levies and more taxes, not knowing that the collections actually goes down. They are killing business.
They are.
Right now, we are seeing that the only highlight of this government's job creation is to send people to be housemaids in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Labor export. Guys, what happened to building local industry? Something's such low-hanging fruit with the right incentives. Kenya used to be a very big manufacturer. Why have manufacturers left? Why are all those big companies which used to manufacture their products here, consumer products, now importing from their subsidiaries, sister companies in Egypt and South Africa and where else? Why are Kenyan flower farms, why are in Naivasha closing down and relocating to Ethiopia, where they are getting incentives? Here, all they want to do is to shake you down till you business cannot make sense. They don't get it.
This story of austerity, we've talked about it before. It's something that has been debunked by economists all over the world. I mean, they've tried it. And the argument was, when there's scarcity, the economic term they use for what we now is called a recession, why do you make things harder and it's already hard? Is that not the time when you should give money, inject money into the economy so that you can jumpstart it? Because this one will certainly die. And the austerity measures when people are in recession has never worked. Absolutely never. It's not that it probably worked here. It has never worked.
I think it depends on where you target the austerity. Our problem is that our austerity measures are aimed at are choking investment in production. But the parasites in power, they are not affected.
The largesse continues.
Then they go on eating as usual. Look at the kind of austerity measures they came up with. Very little of it was affected what the vagabonds in power eat. Just kidogo was touched.
You do have a very valid point, because in reality, you see the understanding is that austerity should mean anything that is not necessary is not done. But the things that are needful, the things that actually help the economy move along, should actually get the funding. But if we are then told by none other than the Auditor General that 1 trillion shillings went missing, and one doesn't really know whether 1 trillion is a heck of a lot of money. It's just about a third of what we're trying to raise. It's gone. Somebody did the math for us here. Okay. Ramu gave us the figures and said what these monies could do. Yes. So, in essence, we don't need to borrow money, do we? Because if we simply use what we have and what we collect, it's been tried, by the way, and we saw it working. It was tried. We saw it working.
I think when Kibaki came to power, he inherited an economy which was in more of a mess than this one. I think it was negative growth, and everything had collapsed in terms of infrastructure, roads, everything. Some kids grew up not knowing what a tarmac road looks like.
Even the structure within government had collapsed.
Yeah, and all the state corporations. Kibaki did not waste time. He just rationalized things, rationalized the spending, invested in the right places. And he did not become hostage to IMF or to... No. In fact, they're the ones who were coming to him. He was ignoring them. He said, with our internal resources, we can do so much of what we need to do. But if you want to help us, fine, but it will be managed. Then came Uhuru and Ruto, and things went south.
Okay, they went east.
What's got to happen, Macharia? Because I think we keep asking that question in terms of now trying to lurch us to a place where, all right, lurch Kenya into a place where, things are significantly different or significantly progressive. What needs to happen next? And I think having the conversation about and putting it out there at the very least, and then the hope that it will land somewhere then where it germinates.
We must still have a national conversation, for one. But I don't think it is the conversation which will be driven from State House. If it is, then there will be people listening to each other. The government must wake up, or let me not say government. Let me say that the political classes must wake up to certain realities. I would think June 25th was just a dress rehearsal. The more people get frustrated, the more that anger is building up. It will not just be what they are calling Gen Zs. It will be a full-scale, unmanageable, very bloody revolt. And that is the way we are heading, unless we recognize the signs and start addressing our national crisis now. The political classes cannot contain this thing. They can contain it for a while. They can buy people for a while. They can bully people for a while. But sooner or later, the implosion will come. Unless there are very deliberate steps to address these concerns, to fix the economy, and also to address the everyday concerns of people in terms of the arrogance they see from those they elected to lead them. Kenya still has a criminal rich-poor gap from back in the Kenyatta days, Jomo Kenyatta days. I think it is growing today rather than
diminishing.
Those are things which must be addressed. Why should our political classes, our MPs, our cabinet secretaries, our presidents be the most highly paid in the world? If you look at it on a
global scale, yes.
On a global scale. They are the highest paid in the world. They don't see that as a contradiction. A national conversation must look at that. It must look at these inequalities in society. There is a ticking time bomb. It was Moi himself, I think in the mid-70s, who warned that youth unemployment in Kenya was a ticking time bomb.
Those were the exact words.
Those were the exact words.
In the 70s.
Yes. At the time when they were talking about doing a Kenya We Want convention, but the government did not want a convention of that nature. The rationale for a national convention of 1976 or 78, I can't remember the exact year, the rationale remains today. We must have this conversation. And not one driven by political classes sharing positions that you can be a minister for this, somebody else can be a minister for that. That is not the conversation that is required right now. Not at all.
Macharia, thank you. Always good having you here. Macharia Gaitho, veteran journalist, has been our guest. It's 9:01.